Okay. There we go.
Okay, I'm going to put myself on mute. I probably won't have any comment during the meeting, but I will be taking notes.
Will do. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Hi, Dick. I actually have you muted on here if you could unmute. There we go. And then Hank, I see that you're on, and Julie, I see that you're on. Thank you. Hi, John.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Very well. And Julie, I see that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Long time no here.
Yeah, right. Let's see, Julie Hoyt is on. And Julie Atwell is not on yet.
Real quick, before we get started, I do have a question on the agenda. Am I reading this correctly that there's going to be a public hearing followed by a regular meeting?
Correct.
Okay, thanks. I'll make sure to separate those two in the minutes.
Thank you.
No problem.
Julie, I'm allowing you to unmute if you want, so if we have questions. Okay. All right. All right, Julie and Julie, are you guys both on and unmuted? Not, you're both muted
We have
still.
to unmute them.
What you do is you click a button that says ask to unmute, and then they do their own thing on their phone.
Hi, Barb. This is
Hi.
Julie Hoyt.
Hi, Julie Hoyt. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Chris Perley is here.
Hi, Chief.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
I'll mute myself until somebody needs me. How's that?
Thank you, sir.
Wish it was so easy.
I heard that. I'm going back to mute.
Julie Atwell, are you able to unmute? Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, thanks. So John and Dick, I believe we have everyone here and a few other participants as well.
Oh, that's great. Well,
Hi, Emily.
I'd like to open the public hearing to accept unanticipated funds gifted to the police and fire departments. They were each given $10,000 from the estate of Mark R. Hammer. So I guess we'll have any discussion anyone would like to bring up, and then a vote to accept.
Do we want to discuss what the auditor recommended yet or after we accept?
I think we should accept the funds.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the funds for each of the police and the fire departments.
And I will second with gratitude for offering those funds as a donation.
Absolutely.
Quite incredible. Okay, we'll take a vote. Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Okay, so we have accepted those funds, and now we should discuss how they will be handled.
And as Julie had let us know, there is a recommendation from our accounting firm and our auditor that we turn these over to the trustees of the trust funds and have a separate account set up for each of these funds. So one for the police and for the fire department. And then the selectmen become agents to expend those funds upon request.
That sounds super. I will take that as a motion.
I will second.
John? That is a motion and seconded. Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. All right, well, those funds, very generously donated, will go into accounts with the trustees of the trust funds, and the selectmen will be agents to expend. Anything else on those, other than a really big thank you?
Really big thank you for sure.
Okay, I'm going to call our regular meeting, selectmen's meeting to order. It's the selectmen's meeting for September 15th, 2020. The first item would be to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Has everybody had a chance to peruse those minutes?
I did. I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
I will second.
Approved and seconded. All in favor? Oh, no. Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. Okay, the next item on our agenda is for the selectmen to discuss STRs in Jackson Falls. Having just had our meeting with Peter Malia, I think we have some very good ideas to put forward. And I think we should have that discussion of what we are putting forward. So-
I'll be happy to speak on that if you'd like, and
That's
kind
great,
of
Barbara.
summarize what we've been talking about. So, get my notes here. We have have gotten a lot of comments, obviously, from the public about the actions that we may or may not be taking. So, first of all, we're really glad that we have two new committees that have been formed. One being the Jackson Falls Committee that is going to be working very cohesively with the Conservation Commission in coming up with some good suggestions on how to manage the traffic and the flow at Jackson Falls. So that's number one. And then that committee will be reporting back to the selectmen with recommendations and things that we can do to control crowd, keep or preserve the grounds around the falls, etc. So we're looking forward to working with that committee. Secondly, we have a committee that is being formed for short-term rentals that we are hoping will be able to come back to us with recommendations on information that can be provided in each of the short-term rentals, maybe that know when you go form, so we can help folks that come into town follow the ordinances that are part of the town. We aren't going to be having that committee responsible, or they will not be responsible for the complaint process, which is something that the selectmen are working on currently. And we have just finished reviewing and will be putting in a complaint form that is being drawn up right now. So any complaint that now comes in, once this form is put on the website, any complaint that comes in will be required to use this form to report the complaint. And whether or not it involves also a police report, et cetera, will be dependent on what type of complaint it is. Legal counsel has also been working with us to put a letter out to all taxpayers, which will be going out in the next day or so, because we wanted to get this out now versus waiting until tax bills go out. So, and I'm actually going to read the draft of this letter into the minutes. And it will be modified slightly once we come up with the verbiage to include the complaint form and the link for the complaint form. But this will definitely accelerate and inform taxpayers that they are required to comply with the new ordinance and complete the short-term rental registration. So the letter states, "Dear Jackson taxpayer, the planning board presented a warrant article to amend the town's zoning ordinance at the annual town meeting on March 12, 2020. This new ordinance requires all short-term rental owners to register their property and submit a request for a conditional use permit. The details of this warrant article can be found on pages 14 and 15 of the 2019 annual report, and there is a link that follows that on the letter. The conditional use permit registration form is available on the Town of Jackson website at jackson-nh.org/board-selectmen/pages/short-term rentals. Again, the link will be on the letter. Short-term rental owners must complete and submit this application immediately, or the town will be forced to take enforcement action for operating a short-term rental in violation of the town's new zoning ordinance. As a property owner, it is your responsibility to be aware of rules and ordinances in the town. You can find current information at jackson-nh.org and also by subscribing to Jackson's e-news by visiting the website jackson-nh.org/home/webforms/subscribe-e-news. Again, the link will be in the letter. In addition, you can contact the Jackson Town Office at 603-383-4223 with any questions. We are committed to preserving the traditional character of residential neighborhoods in Jackson, to preserve the quality and quantity of housing stock for year-round residential use, and to ensure the safety of short-term rental occupants. We encourage you to aid our efforts by complying with this new ordinance. And it will go out under the, being signed by the 3 selectmen. And I want to give also thanks and recognition to the planning board and Bill Terry for the last paragraph, because we tried to incorporate what the initial meaning of the short-term rental ordinance was for. So thank you for that verbiage. I hope I plagiarized all right there. And then, thanks, Bill. So that is going out, like I said, in the mail in the next day or so. It will be specific to all taxpayers, and it will have a notice on the envelope as well that says important short-term rental ordinance information enclosed. So hopefully it does get some attention, and it would get that attention now versus sending it out with tax bills, which may or may not be read. So that is what we have been discussed. Did I miss anything, Dick or John?
I don't believe you missed anything.
Julie's, did I cover everything that you guys can remember?
I think so. You said the complaint form. Did you explain the process of the enforcement process?
No, what we're finalizing on that is the complaint form will be going out, but then as you know, if you've looked at the ordinance, there are 3 steps to or 3 complaint processes, I should say. The first one is a warning, which will be a formal warning. The second one is a fine, and the third one is a further fine. Again, this is new to us. This is new to most towns, actually, and I think a lot of towns are following what we're doing to see how it's working. This is all a work in process, but we need to enforce these complaints, and there will be an option for a hearing if someone wants to appeal any complaints that they have been presented with for their short-term rental. Again, we're refining all of the language for this, so that will be coming out as well once the complaint form is done.
That's great. Thank you, Barbara. I think now our process is to make a motion on the letter going out to all taxpayers.
I will make that motion to send out a letter to all taxpayers regarding the short-term rentals.
And I will second that motion.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
Yes.
And just
Ben?
one, oh, sorry, go ahead, Dick.
Yes. I know.
Sorry.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right.
Aye. One more thing too, and Julie reminded me of this, that if anyone is interested in joining either of these committees, they can reach out to the office, and they will be able to voice their opinions and, make suggestions, etc. And we always encourage people to attend the planning board, the Conservation Commission's meetings, any public meetings that are available, and of course the select meetings, to be aware and to have input on anything that's going on in town. So be involved.
Okay, now I think we need a motion for the complaint form.
And I will make a motion to accept the complaint form and post it on the town website.
I will second.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bennett, yes. So the complaint form will become our process for handling complaints. And then there will be a review process after not on the first complaint, which is just a letter. The second and third complaints will be a review process. There is a fine at the second, and with the third, you lose your permit for 3 months. So, that would, the process would allow for whoever was complained about to contest that with the selectmen.
And that is an open meeting too. That's not a 91A or whatever it is.
No, that's a wide open meeting for anybody to attend. It'll just be part of our bi-weekly, or if it becomes weekly, if it gets real busy, selectmen's meetings. So you will have a hearing process. to implement that, I would need a motion.
I'll make that motion to approve that, to implement the new process to the short-term rentals.
And I will second that.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. Okay, I believe we have covered the parts of short-term rental that we've gone over to try to I don't know, upgrade the process for applications, to get the word out for everybody who operates a short-term rental to make their permit application. If you have a complaint, the complaint will come in on a standardized form, and then after the second complaint, you will have access to a hearing. Any further discussion on that?
They can't complain, they can't contest the original complaint? Is that what you're saying, Dick?
Yes, Peter suggested that the original complaint is only a letter, and that, I don't know, we may change that as we go along. For right now, that's just a letter that goes out.
Very good.
If they wanted to contest the letter, they can. It will be up to us of whether we have that hearing or not.
Gotcha.
There was a question that came in on the chat about after a 3-month revocation of the conditional use permit, would a short-term owner need to reapply, or would their permit be reinstated without application?
It seems that it would be reinstated, not sure, but in that the process is an application one time that would continue year to year. I would think that permit would be reinstated as is. So I'll check on that. I'll put a question on that.
Thanks, Dick.
So either reinstate or re-permit.
Right. And Bill Terry has a comment, if that's okay.
Come ahead.
Bill, can you unmute? There you go. Huh. I'm trying to unmute him, so just give us a second. No, not working. Oh,
No,
there you go.
Thank you. Dick, the intention when we put together the ordinance was that the process would be to reinstate, not re-permit. And obviously that could change if we choose to do so, but currently that was the intention when we put together the ordinance.
That's as I understood it, but I didn't know that you were right there. I was going to check with you. Thank you.
Time saver.
That was the idea.
Okay, any further discussion on those 3 motions that we have just approved?
Nope.
Any discussion on Jackson Falls, other than there is a committee now working with the Conservation Commission? I was at the Conservation I attended a Conservation Commission Zoom meeting last night, and I thought it was very productive. There is the committee right now, a citizens committee to discuss ideas for how to protect the falls. And that's what it's come down to, is how do we protect them? So I think that will be a good discussion and ongoing.
They've also put a survey out. I know they're working on a survey, and Emily had mentioned that they'd like to do a mailing on that as well. And I think that anything we can help do to support that, to get input, will be, well received. So I think that that's going to be brought up either at next week's meeting or prior to that.
Anything we can do to involve the entire community is a great thing.
Agreed.
All right, well, I'm going to move on to the next item, which would be a motion to accept a grant for the, it's an election grant for the absentee ballots.
I'll make that motion to accept that grant.
And I will second that motion.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. Okay. The next item is to, appoint the Deputy Health Officer, Beth Dyer.
I'll make a motion to nominate and accept and appoint Beth Dyer as the Deputy Health Officer.
I will second that.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Bennett, yes. Thank you, Beth Dyer, for stepping forward to accept the position of Deputy Health Officer. I'm sure it will be helpful.
If I could just bring something up that is not on our agenda but has to do with health, I'll use that as a segue. It's been brought to our attention a couple times that we don't have a consistent policy for town employees to follow if they leave the area for vacation or travel purposes, and what the requirements should be once they come back. And I'll give you an example using myself. I went to on vacation in July and August in Illinois and Virginia, which are both, I believe, in whatever the red zone is called or whatever. But I did quarantine when I came home for 14 days. And then, so between that not being a consistency or not really having any direction for our employees, and the fact that we don't really have any anything written, not written in stone, but I guess, but any rules as far as wearing masks in town areas and for town employees. Is that something that, Dick, you and John feel we should make more consistent and abide by?
Well, I just got a hold of the information from Primax that came to us. And I certainly think at our next meeting that we should, discuss it and vote on, how we want to approach our town employees and their health and safety, because it's not just for individuals, it's to keep everybody safe. So I think we should, unless you're prepared to go ahead with that now, I would like a little more time to go over the Primex information.
Right. And then I know Emily's on the line. Emily, did you want to comment at all on this? Because and Dick, are you okay with that, just so we can have some dialogue about it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, Emily, okay.
Yeah, that's it. Dick, I'm glad that you have, you referenced the information from Primex, because the New Hampshire Municipal Association, Primex is always on the, what is now the Wednesday calls, dealing with any questions, you know, regarding town policies. It is definitely something where they do have the recommended, you know, guidelines and precautions. Of course, every town is approaching it, you know, unique to their circumstances, but I can share some additional information, but really going direct to Primex would probably be the best thing, because the nuances of all the different situations, it goes on and on and on. So, so anyway, should I send that information to all of you, or sort of to Julie, or the other thing is to just get right on the call. You know, I can go direct to Heidi Lawton as well.
Mm-hmm.
And ask any of those questions.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see the information.
Okay.
Sure.
I'll pass along what I have, and I mean, certainly, you know, different stances that municipalities were taking on reopening. I'm sure it's expanded on out to travel, because it is a concern. I mean, when folks head off and then come back, and
Right.
standing next to them and no masks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's important that we deal with this, because the coronavirus is not going away. It has proved itself to be very resilient. It's still around. It's growing in some areas. So, you know, anything we can do to keep people safe,
Mm-hmm.
I think we should be headed for.
Yeah, and there's some interesting approaches. I mean, just dealing with an assisted living community that my mom stays in, looking at the data that they're looking at across the country when you have people going to a different part of the country where infection rates are higher, the
Mhm.
protocols that are then put into place as a result of that.
Right.
So that's, you just have it pretty clean cut as any of this can be. Is certainly helpful. So I'll share
Thanks,
some
Emily.
information with you. Yep.
Great.
Thank you, Emily.
So I think we can probably add that to our agenda for our next meeting and have a better conversation with more knowledge, more
Well,
education.
yeah, give us a chance to read through it and make an informed decision.
Perfect.
All right, and then I have one other thing that wasn't on the agenda, but that's just a thank you for all the election workers. They did a banner job. I think we had one complaint, or I don't even know if it was a complaint, but it was kind of a critique of the problems of the election. But one person had trouble. I haven't heard any other complaints, and you know, it's a more tedious process now, but it worked. We got everybody through the lines. I don't think anybody had to wait an exorbitant amount of time, and I'm really happy. So
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody that worked on the election, and especially Emily Benson, who stood in for me.
She was our pro team.
Yeah, and
Yeah. I was not the selectman of Jackson. I was the pro team.
Pro
of
team, that's
Jackson.
Sorry, you're elected.
Yeah.
No.
you've got my vote.
You know, it was such a great trial for the upcoming election, which is obviously going to be more challenging because it's going to be in November, so we don't know what the weather's going to be like. The volume will certainly be higher, but you know, having Jerry Doherty fill in for Willis, and him having previous education and experience doing this, and then, like you said, all the volunteers, was very thought out. It was really a very successful day, and the Assistant Attorney General also was very impressed. So that's always a good thing too.
And also a big thanks to all the out there. I mean, there were a lot of new faces, which was good to see.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and I would also like to thank Big Dave's for the
Yes.
breakfast provided. McSheffrey's for lunch. And Mike Mallet and the Red Fox for pizza for supper. All
Thank
great
you.
for
Yes.
up to work at an election. And one that I really missed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you weren't there, Dick?
And then, let's see, I had one other thing, the town clerk's office, people have asked for hours that they would be open. I believe now you have to make an appointment, but if they were, if the town clerk and her assistant were amenable, they would be able to set hours to be open. It would be through the window, you know, people would be outside, but they would be open on a regular basis, as I understand it. And it's for just for our information or our discussion, but I certainly, if that's agreeable for them, I would say that it would be a good thing to do for the town.
Yeah,
Julie Atwell, are you there? All right, well, anyway.
yeah, she just
believe
actually
Yeah,
unmuted.
I'm here.
Did I speak correctly on the desires of the town clerk's office?
Well, I believe from what I heard, I believe that the four of us are gonna try to get together to come up with a few set times for people to know that everyone's there. Even though we're typically one or the two of us or the four of us are there all the time, but to have specific times so people know when they can come up to the windows.
Yeah, I mean, calling and making an appointment seems to, you know, fill the bill too. I mean,
Right.
should be able to do it that way as well.
Right. Also, you know, we need to stress that we all need to stay as healthy as possible before the election. I know that sounds kind of crazy. We need to stay healthy all the time, but should something happen with with Karen Burton, for example, or Gloria, or anybody that's heavily involved in the election, that could really be critical to us. So the more caution we can take, the better. And I think that the more people know that they can call and make appointments or request information, we're doing an incredible job of keeping things covered. So
Town business is going on. We're not
oh yeah,
suffering at all. I mean, everything is getting done that we need getting done. So yes, I want to keep everyone safe. And it's absolutely up to the office, whatever they're comfortable with.
right.
And if they're not comfortable, don't do it.
All right.
All right.
Anything else?
The last thing is just the next meeting is on Tuesday, September 22nd at 4 p.m. via Zoom.
Right.
All righty.
And then, Julie, Chief, you're still on. Did we want to go into non-public
Yes.
with Chief
Yes,
Hurley?
please.
All
Yes,
right.
please.
Well, I will make a motion to adjourn the public meeting.
I will second that.
Barbara, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
John, how do you vote?
Yes.
Bennett, yes.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thanks, everyone. And I will make sure that everyone stays on here that is allowed to. So I have Dick.
I was not planning to stay on, so everyone have a good evening.
Okay, you as well.
Bye, Julie.
And let's
Bye.
see, Will, you can
Bye.
hop off. And Jay, are you
Beg your
still
pardon?
on?